Well, Callum, welcome back to the therapy session we didn't know that we needed, and you at home probably didn't know that you needed as well. Another, I don't know even the right word to use about that display last night, but a 0-0 draw against St Johnstone.
I don't know what you're talking about, therapy. I feel wonderful after that. Oh, I'm delighted with the performance. A great point away.
Yeah, well, we didn't lose any ground on Hibs.
Exactly. Every cloud.
Oh, I mean, we're really scraping the barrel. Yesterday, we were texting in the afternoon saying, we've just secured an Aberdeen academy graduate as a next interview lined up. The stadium, there was some positivity around that from Dave Cormack. We were in a positive mood, but we said, I can't wait for the club to ruin that tonight.
And oh boy, did they. Oh boy, did they. If this certain academy graduate is listening, hopefully you're not put off by the rant that's about to come. It's just about the performance, which wasn't good. What's your one word to sum it up, though?
Well, I mean, there's plenty of one words you could have used to sum up. I was torn between disillusioned. I wasn't actually sure if this was actually a word. It was going to be unengaging. I wasn't sure if that was a word, but it's kind of how I felt. But I settled on painful because it was painful listening to Rob MacLean. It was painful to watch, and it was painful to watch Cosgrove in particular trying to control a football.
Yeah, it wasn't good. It was not good
Yours?
at all. Mine also relating to probably the starting 11, the substitutions, the tactics, the commentary, and just the football in general, just chronic. It was absolute toilet, or instead maybe not toilet, as the chairman would say.
Absolute crap.
Hey, great of Dave to contribute to the show finally.
I know, what a man of the people.
Yeah, he understands. And, we knew that the feeling was going to be one of discontent, I think it's safe to say, based on last night. So we put it out on our Twitter page, as we normally do for not recording straight away, at RTG_podcasts, asking what your one word was going to be. And I've selected a handful of the responses that really made me laugh. Jack Sharps was the first one to do so, which was eye gouging. It's something different than we normally get, and I think quite a fair assessment. Neil Ross, suicidal. Hopefully he's feeling a little bit better today.
I hope so.
Carol Innes had spineless. We did have kind of the usual suspects with, rancid, terrible, sackable, but some other ones that kind of stood out. A play on words, kind of following the Rob MacLean mantra, was Binty, who put and in brackets bearable.
Nice.
Brackets around bear. Similar theme from Rob Monroe. Was his one word was uninspiring, but he put inspiring.
Yes.
People are getting inventive. I really like it. Another word I liked was from Paul Pickard was feeble. And then the sarcastic comment from Lewis Sharp, masterclass. McInnes masterclass at its finest last night.
Oh, yeah. I don't think I could put it any better myself, honestly.
I know, but, it's great to see, and hopefully you guys contributing your one words made you feel that a little bit better as well. And like we said, your therapy session is now well underway. Callum, we knew there would be a meltdown with the team news when it came out. We'll come to the main suspect around that, but we'll discuss Ross McCrory, not out for as long as we expected, replacing Funso Ojo, who's expected to join Wigan on loan.
That was surprising. I thought he was just crocked for the foreseeable future. I was glad to see he came in for all of 3 minutes before he then crocked Tommy Hogan.
Yeah, but McCrory was still fine to continue. Anyway, albeit having to drop back into defence. The other noticeable difference to our team was obviously Curtis Main picking up an injury in the warm-up. Boy, did that come back to bite us.
It would have been nice to have Curtis on the bench as an option, I suppose, but whether he'd have been used prior to the 80th minute, I don't know whether that would have made a difference, to be honest.
Yeah, like I said, we'll come to the main suspect of the team news in a little bit, because I want to kind of get into the game first, and then we'll discuss the impact that said player had. Note still not mentioning his name. For those of blue persuasion that might be tuning in to listen to our meltdown, I hope you're enjoying the fact that we refuse to mention the name so far.
Yeah. He should not be named. It's like Voldemort.
Yes. So like you mentioned, Hoban went off crocked after 3 minutes, seeing Ross McCrory drop to centre back, Dean Campbell coming on into midfield. How do you feel that kind of affected us through the game?
I think it was very unsettling, probably early on. Not helpful losing Tommy Hoban at the back, who's been in all right form recently. Obviously got a goal at the weekend. Probably didn't help things. Then Dean Campbell coming on so early and wearing Under Armour. No, I wasn't happy. Let me tell you that.
Do you think that restricted him in his shot later on?
I think it did. I think Dean Campbell, without that, Hardman Dino would have wellied that into the top corner. But
well, Steve, if you're listening, pass the message on.
Exactly.
First half though, overall, despite the little change that we had to go through, I thought we were largely creative and we did dominate possession. With no real end product though, the only real chance of note that I can remember was the cross that found Sam Cosgrove, who I think a fit and scoring Cosgrove buries that chance.
Probably, yeah. And I think we had most of the ball, but the problem was we didn't really do much. And I don't think we created significantly more than St Johnstone, despite what Rob MacLean was saying in the commentary box, going, "Oh, I've never seen such a one-sided half that's still 0-0." It's a load of nonsense. So I'm sure we'll get on to more of his nonsense later on.
Yeah, I think we will.
I mean, yeah, admittedly, we probably were maybe slightly better in terms of controlling the game, but we still didn't create anything, which is ultimately what you're meant to be trying to do, and it just didn't happen. And who's shocked having watched us this season?
Yeah, and I think, though, in general, Matty Kennedy is probably something I will agree with Rob MacLean on. He really has come onto a game in the last 2-3 games. A rare bright spark in amongst a terrible watch, largely.
Yeah, that's encouraging, I suppose. I think early in the season he struggled, especially when he came back. I think did he have injury or something early on, or maybe it was when he missed out. Yeah, COVID thing. Was he involved in that? I can't remember.
No, it was an injury. You were right. Yeah,
injury. That was it. So I think he struggled coming back from that. So maybe now he's in full flow, and admittedly he has looked better, actually delivering some decent crosses every now and then, which is positive.
It's just a shame there's nobody to get on the end of them. Now, one of the bright sparks, I suppose, in terms of his interchange with Ryan Hedges, is the man that shan't be named. Where do you sit on his inclusion in the starting 11?
Right, I've actually prepared some statistics for this, which I'll get on to in a minute.
I'll just sit back then.
I know it's not like me. It's not like me. Okay, you can look at it like this. If you look at it like this, it's him moving for more money, so it's bettering his career and probably more chance at success. Let's be honest. And even if you take away who he's moving to, whatever, fine. But come the end of the season, he's not going to be our player. So he doesn't really want to be here to start with, let's be honest. And you can say, okay, we're a worse team without him in the side. But I've written some notes on the back of an envelope here.
Wow, very prepared.
Statistically, in terms of end product, we're not much worse off. If you could put, if you want to come out of the team, you probably put Conor McLennan in. Would you agree that's one man you'd probably turn to?
Yeah, and a player who's out of contract at the end of the season and who'd probably be chomping at the bit to prove he deserves a new contract, I think is fair to say.
Exactly. And, okay, maybe he's not the finished product yet. Scott Wright's still not, damn it, I just said his name. He's still not the finished product, number 25. But also in terms of end product, very, very similar. Scott Wright has played 78 games for Aberdeen, scoring 7 goals, 3 of which came in one game against Partick Thistle, and he's provided 11 assists. So that's contributing to 18 goals in total. And then Conor McLennan, who is 2 years younger than him, so he's still got plenty of time to get to an even better level than him by the time he's that age. He has played 67 times, made 67 appearances, scored 7 goals. He scored the same amount of goals as the player who won't be named, and got 9 assists. So that's just 2 less assists, and he's got 2 years to make that up. Would he not be better off playing 10 or 15 starts by the end of the season? And how much better would he be because of that for a player that probably wants to be here, has got a point to prove? And you can say that's just one club, that's one sample. Okay, we'll look at under 21 Scotland level as well.
I knew that was going to come.
Number 25, 5 caps for Scotland, no goals. I don't have assists, I couldn't find it. Conor McLennan, still eligible to play for under 21, so he may improve on this. 7 appearances, 3 goals.
Mm-hmm.
So if you compare them in terms of end product, very, very similar. And we'd be better off giving him 10, 15 more starts towards the end of the season for a player who wants to be here with a point to prove. And who knows, he'll be better for it, though. That's a fact. That is a fact. So I don't know what that's about. And then if you look at that and you go, okay, maybe Conor McLennan wouldn't be enough. Ethan Ross out on loan, sitting on the bench for Wraith. Would he not be better off sitting on our bench if he's not even going to play for Wraith against Hearts? Rant over. There you go. So that debunks any myths that we are a better side with Scott Wright in the team. I've said his name again, but I don't care.
Yeah, well, no, I think you've presented your argument very well, very controlled as well.
Thank you.
And I think the under 21 point is an excellent point because McLennan is a regular for the national side at that level and a regular threat, as you've displayed there with your stats. And I think it must, for a player that is, potentially wanting to stay at the club, and we're assuming he is, in Conor McLennan, it must be a real kick in the teeth for you wanting to prove yourself. And if he doesn't want to stay, proving yourself to potential suitors, 7 minutes is not enough week in, week out. We know what he is capable of defensively, as he's shown already this season. But as you've shown in your stats there, he is more than capable as an attacking threat. He just needs a consistent run that Scott Wright got for 6 months this season and has earned himself a big money move to Rangers. And why should we continue to play a player that is committed his future elsewhere over someone fighting for his future to potentially remain at the club?
Exactly.
And I totally agree with your point on Ethan Ross as well. Scott Wright out, McLennan in, and Ethan Ross can take McLennan's place on the bench.
Exactly. And then you're looking at that as well. Also, just further developing a player who's then going to go and play for a rival. What's the point in that? There's no point. Is there? He's already committed. It's not even just rumours at this stage. He's actually committed to playing for them. At this stage with the other Serpent, it was just rumours at this stage. So he was still playing. But with this man, he's committed.
I know. I like how people said, oh, well, Jack played a Scottish Cup final. It wasn't announced that he'd committed to them at that point. It was still, will he, won't he?
Yeah. And he'd been stripped of his captaincy as well. Yeah.
This is a whole different ball game and a scenario in where we are. And, McInnes's comments pre-match about, we don't want to weaken the team. Well, he might not want to weaken the team, but again, as a Conor McLennan or a Niall McGinn even, who's not getting game time, how do you think that sits with those players?
Exactly.
Fills them with confidence when they're going to... Because when Scott Wright inevitably gets injured, because I'd be surprised if he lasts to the end of the season fully fit, they must think, well, he doesn't really trust us that much if he won't play us regularly.
And if you think, okay, Conor McLennan and his statistics are fairly similar. If you really want me to deep dive into and Niall McGinn's statistics for the next episode, then I will, and then you'll see what happens.
And do you want to make comment on Rob McLean's commentary now?
That man shouldn't be allowed near hospital radio, let alone a commentary box. Saying Scott Wright tried like a bear. First of all, that's not a saying. Second of all, you know who he's just signed a free contract with. Are you just trying to annoy us?
Yeah.
And then what was the other thing he said? Oh yeah, he's going, I'd be quite happy to see him playing in red. First of all, you're being paid to watch him, so obviously you don't care. You're not an Aberdeen fan, and you're not putting money into the club, therefore paying his wages. So butt out. I don't know why we've got him. I bring back McDermott, and I'm genuinely serious.
Well, I think he would just be as bad in his opinions, but it was cringeworthy beyond belief at times. Anything Scott Wright did was praised to the high heavens. I mean, he ran the ball out of play and it was, that was great attacking intent and whatnot. And then when Liam Gordon executed a brilliant challenge, and it's unbelievable that was when the first St Johnstone booking came, because, the likes of Tanser and Murray Davidson deserve bookings way before. And to be honest, that wasn't really a booking. That was an excellent challenge. Exactly. So, and then they were all up in arms about, making a heavy challenge on, and to come out and say it was a red card as well, it was just so cringe. It was
nothing
tough.
It was nothing more than probably maybe a slightly aggressive trip. Let's be honest. There's nothing more than that. Consign's tackle was far worse than that. And to be fair, and you mentioned the Tanser thing. 4 fouls. He didn't even end up getting booked, and he got talked to after 2 as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Mental stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry.
And it's just another poor refereeing display, but an even poorer display in the commentary box from I've actually quite enjoyed Rob MacLean's commentary by and large this season, especially at away games. But even Paul Hartley as well, linked to club official hierarchy, whatever you want to call it, bringing him in, it's just another mouthpiece, I felt, just to kind of run the kind of let's praise Scott Wright and keep him playing. It just the club knew exactly what they were doing. Similar with McInnes's pre-match comments about not weakening the team. They must think the fans are stupid, and they know fine well if fans were allowed in the ground, there's no way he would be anywhere near the team.
It is very much jobs for the boys in that case, isn't it? I mean, you tell me there's no one better available right now? I'm not convinced. And another thing, by the way, before we move on about Rob MacLean, he said it was a complete performance after 41 minutes played. The man, it was 0-0. The man hadn't even had a shot on target.
And I also want to say I would have much rather had a Joey Harper, Frank McDougall after the comments he put on Facebook. And who's the guy that normally is quite critical? Is it Stevie Cowan?
Possibly, yeah.
I'd have loved to see them in co-coms and tell us how they really feel.
Going at it.
Exactly. None of this just playing to the masses. The Paul Crichtons and Duncan Forbes of this world. We're not real fans. For those of you that missed that reference, Paul Crichton, Northern Lights Facebook page, and Duncan Forbes commenting on our last video saying, we're too negative and we don't understand the meaning of real fans.
Yeah.
Well, real fans are allowed to have different opinions and they're allowed to disagree with what the club does. We don't just nod and are yes men at every opportunity. And that's what makes football fans proper fans as well, because you have one opinion, Callum. I have an opinion. You're not right. I'm not right. Opinions are allowed.
Exactly.
Can't just blanket everybody out.
We're not saying for any reason that we're better than us. We're just two idiots speaking on a podcast. We decided to do it. Our opinion holds no weight either. I mean,
no.
But this sort of suprematism kind of thing amongst fans is just a bit mental.
Yeah, I mean, we're the fact that we've got nearly 200 subscribers on YouTube and nearly 200 listens an episode is just bonkers to us in the first place. If even just 2 of you listened, that's more than what we expected. It's like we said, it's therapy is well underway. Maybe Derek McInnes needs a bit of therapy. He came out and after the game, and we will kind of look at the second half. Not that there was much to look into, but afterwards saying we lacked quality throughout the game. But is that not something that we should be then maybe changing about to try and inject some quality into the game? Again, a McLennan, not just 7 minutes worth. A McGinn, maybe. I don't think Bruce Anderson would have been suited to playing against St Johnstone, given their defensive the height in their defense, a small Bruce Anderson. But we've got other midfielders to use.
Well, at the same time, though, if you've got a big lump up front, that's meat and drink for St Johnstone's defence. Someone like Bruce Anderson, who's maybe a bit better movement-wise, maybe this does cause problems. Not that we would know. 84 minutes before he brings on Conor McLennan. What do you expect him? Give him 6 minutes plus added on time. What do you expect him to do? And then you've still got McGinn, very experienced. Okay, maybe losing the legs a little bit, but creative nonetheless.
Or a bit of quality from a set piece, as we've seen before with McGinn. He can produce a free kick, so get the ball in and around the box, which we did in the second half. We did get the ball in and around the box, but we rarely shot on goal. Matty Kennedy's the only one of note that I can remember. His dipping shot was tipped over from Xander Clark, but Hedges passed to Sam Cosgrove, who was just rooted to the spot. And that Hedges one, though, I don't know about you, I think that shows how one-footed he was, because if that was on the left side, he is shooting.
Yep, definitely. But I mean, and then you've got Cosgrove with his feet stuck in a pile of concrete and just not even moving at all. I don't know what the hell that was about. Then there's also the Dean Campbell one as well, where just step onto it. It's on his strong foot, leather it, see what happens.
I can, to be fair to Dean, I can understand why he's gone and passed it to a 20-goal-a-season striker.
Yeah.
I don't know, again, if Cosgrove, like the Hedges one, wasn't anticipating. There did seem with the Hedges Cosgrove incident seem to be an apology of sort from Hedges, like I should have probably gone that alone. But for me, again, if that's on Hedges' right side, that's why he doesn't. Dean Campbell's seeing, I know someone that should know the way to the back of the net. I'll play in Cosgrove. And if Cosgrove drills that across the goal, you know, maybe we get a deflection out to players running in, but he shoots near post, and it was just poor from, you know, when he does play Cosgrove and you're expecting better from Cosgrove, but I do feel Dean will probably regret not hitting that.
I think so. I feel like, yeah, looking back, he probably was going, I wish I just stepped onto it. It's on my strong foot and went with it. But you're right about he was probably looking at, okay, it's a previously prolific striker, play him in, and it just didn't come through for him, unfortunately.
Joe Lewis, though, had a largely quiet game. Really not much to do up until just about the 90th minute when Glenn Middleton stepped up with a fierce strike from just outside the box that Lewis got down well to save. And I mean, I think that would have just summed up the last few days if he'd gone on to score the winner.
Yeah, conceding, it would have been typical of us to concede a late winner anyway, but could you imagine, like, the Blue Noses are laughing at us enough as it is. Could you imagine if their Loney then scored? That would have been bad. That would have been terrible.
I know. Well, I'd hate to think what they would have enjoyed from this podcast had he gone on to score the winner. So full time came 0-0. Camera pans to the managers, shaking hands. What was your thought? There's been a lot of outrage at McInnes's reaction to full time with the smile beaming on his face.
I think, and if some other managers probably wouldn't get scrutinised for that, but just the way things are going, it was just like another little thing that just ticked everyone off, basically.
Nail in the coffin, a dagger in the heart, so to speak.
Exactly. It was just another thing that just further aggravated people after watching 90 minutes of horrific football, just no tactical nous whatsoever from the touchline. And it just, it was nail in the coffin, as you said. The last straw that broke the camel's back, they may say.
Yeah, how many more of them can we get in?
I know.
His post-match comments, again, didn't really leave much to be desired. Same old excuses trotted out. And I noticed a comment he put in was similar to the Ross County when he said he told the players if they put in the same amount of effort in the second half, we'll be guaranteed a draw.
What?
So why, again, so at Ross County, we were 2-1 down at halftime, and he told the players if they put in the same amount of effort they did in the first half, we'd get a draw. Why are we always telling the players we'll be getting a draw? Why don't you say, if you do this a little bit better, or work the balls into the wider area, or, you know, Sam Cosgrove, maybe move to find yourself getting on the end of the cross, we'll get a win. Yeah, we can guarantee a win. Why are we just baseline setting out, we'll take the point? That's, and I mean this in no disrespect to Livingston, it's just because this was Gary Holt's previous mantra. Set out for a point and anything you get is a bonus. That shouldn't be our mantra.
No. I actually didn't hear that. That's very, very confusing. First of all, setting out for a draw, but also not saying as you said, not say do better, put in more effort, this is what we can be doing better, or just saying, yes, do the same. It's not working for us, just do the same and we'll probably be maybe okay. It's just, it's totally baffling. I don't understand it whatsoever, in all honesty.
Like we said, the injury to Curtis Main proved costly as we had no real attacking threat to bring on off the bench to replace a very largely ineffective Sam Cosgrove. I see there's now been a Twitter page created.
Yeah, I saw that.
How many days since Sam Cosgrove scored? We're at 33 days for anyone that's wanting to know the answer to that. And that's as accurate as of the 28th of January. So by the next time we play, that will be up to 34. What day is today? Thursday. No,
Thursday. 35.
5. Yeah. I'm losing track of the days. Yeah. Do you think, though, with the injury to Curtis Main, you made a good point there about Bruce Anderson potentially being different. Do you think the manager trusts Bruce Anderson?
Absolutely not. That in the long and short of things, you're looking for a goal. It's 0-0, and you don't even put him on, not even for 5 minutes, which is usually what you used to get, before this loan. Yeah, it seems very odd. And also, I had another point that I would like to have raised. I forgot about it, and it's come back to me. People always say we can't compete with Rangers and Celtic because of budgets. What do you think our budget is compared to St Johnstone? And then we'll see what happens with Livingston. Compare the budgets then.
Yeah.
You wait.
So no trust in Anderson. What about Niall McGinn then?
Yeah, that is very, very odd because he seemed to be his man. Whereas even when McGinn was going through sort of rough patches of his own form, he was still staying. Whereas now, okay, yeah, his legs have gone maybe, but you could, I mean, he's still very much a man you could take on, sort of give 20 minutes, half an hour, and perhaps change something, especially when it's a 0-0 stalemate and there's not much going on. It seems very, very odd. I don't know if anything's happened there. I highly doubt it. It just seems very, very bizarre. And the continued just bizarre nature of Aberdeen Football Club.
Yeah. With Ojo potentially leaving the club for 6 months, freeing up a bit of wage, assuming obviously that whoever he disappears on loan to will pick up his wage. Do you think that should be used to bring in another striker or an attacking-minded player?
I would like to see that being the case, but given the way Mr. Cormac's been saying about our finances, it wouldn't surprise me if we were just looking to save some cash money by putting him out on loan. He's not playing much, and then I think his contract's up. It wouldn't surprise me if that was the case and we just went with the way we were. Inspiring.
Yeah. Andrew Close messaged me today saying there's maybe another player we should look at, Stephen O'Donnell, to help defensively, allowing Matt Kennedy and the likes or Johnny Hayes to be pushed up further forward. Would you like to see us maybe pursue that avenue?
I think so. Yeah, his contract expires at the end of the month, so that would definitely be I think that would be a very good option, and it would possibly allow us to revert to a 4 perhaps if with him at right back. He's also still a good threat going forward. He plays right wing back for Scotland quite a lot. However, I think it wouldn't surprise me if after Celtic sold Frimpong, given the way things they are going, if they just went, yeah, Stephen O'Donnell for free, mate, let's go. That wouldn't surprise me. And we can't compete with that, I suppose. No,
we can't. So that kind of sums up yesterday's game. And I've tried to think of something positive to put on that, but I can't. I believe we've got the chairman back on to give his opinion on not only the commentary, but the result and performance. Dave, what was your opinion on that? Sorry?
Absolute crap.
Perfect. That's good to hear. But you did provide us with a positive comment, Mr. Chairman. In relation to the stadium, I suppose we'll briefly talk about that before we move into the Livingston game on Saturday, Calum. Dave Cormac coming out and saying that the club are open-minded to the proposals at the beach. That's encouraging.
It is very encouraging. It's nice not only to see Aberdeen City Council try to make positive movements, but also Aberdeen actually willing to listen to them, which is very, very nice. And then, of course, the Transition Extreme boss then came out too and said they'd be happy to sort of talk things through and that kind of thing. It's all very positive. Again, it's all still very early stages and all that good stuff, but this is the one thing right now about Aberdeen Football Club that everyone seems to agree on, and that is genuinely good.
It's the only thing that's given me any hope about the club is it remaining in the city centre just now. And you know, it was funny actually seeing a couple of people giving their one words in summary, relating it to after the positivity of hearing about the stadium, the comments from the chairman, to then kind of put in a display on the pitch. It was dispiriting and deflating, which again, some good choices there. Obviously, you touch on there about Transition Extreme being open for move, which I know a lot of people raised concerns about. Other concerns still remain about the transport links and the congestion in and around the beach area. So I think that's certainly something that the council and club will need to look at, because, you know, many fans are convinced, I don't know why, that Kingsford will offer better transport. For me, I think if you look at the Kingswells, West Hill area, 5 o'clock Monday to Friday during normal times, it's quite busy with rush hour traffic. I don't really see how a match day traffic will be any different. It's also one road in, one road out. I know we've got access to the bypass, but I don't see there being much difference personally.
Nope.
Again, like we said, everyone's entitled to their own opinion. That's mine on the transport. It'll be interesting to see what the council come up with in terms of kind of improving that or easing fears. But I still think the biggest concern or issue will be cost and what the council does in terms of offering the land to the club.
Yeah, definitely. But you do raise the thing about even Kingsford's transport as well. Another thing is, you say it's probably bad enough around 5 o'clock. Could you imagine if then there's a gig at the Tekka or something going on, a big gig then? It would be even worse, absolute chaos on a Saturday. But yeah, but no, raised some good points. I think, yeah, I hope that going by positive talks that we've heard and they're actually being very forward and thinking about it, I'm actively making a move to do it. I hope that they do have solutions for all these things before they've just gone, go to the beach. And then then they're just stuck with all these issues.
Yeah, it's taken longer than we hoped for. I know some people have also suggested the old AACC site would have been just as ideal. Obviously now I think a church group's bought the main building and there's housing going in the other areas. So late to the party on that front. But exciting, and obviously Jamie Hall is continuing to update the news story. I believe there's a front page spread in both the Press and Journal and Evening Express today, which again, like I said, is on Thursday. The articles will be available online for viewing and reading there to see the latest developments on that story. And obviously we'll do our best to keep on top of that and update you guys through on the podcast for what happens. On to Saturday then, Callum. Livingston, a trip to the AstroTurf. Will the all-weather finally hold?
I hope it does, just so we get it over with, and whatever will happen will happen. But I'm sure, as you can probably tell by tone of voice, to anyone listening or watching, or yourself, Glenn, whatever happens, that will happen. I'm not confident about it being positive and the next podcast being a cheery one either. So
yeah. So I spoke to the official Livy Talk podcast boys last night to kind of get some information, make sure my facts were correct first of all. They are 9 unbeaten in the league, so always good to play a team in form.
Yeah.
And obviously we played one half of the League Cup finalists in St Johnstone. We play the other half, so they've just reached a cup final as well. Really are playing a team bang in form.
Yeah, not only are they banging form, but they've all got cup final places to be playing for, all that good stuff. Exactly. So that's brilliant. So we're playing basically outside Rangers. They're the form team in the league. That's very encouraging, and it's back to back. So if we lose the first one, I would previously be like, oh, okay, that's a good opportunity to bounce back and show them who's boss. But I've also but now in my head it's just going, well, we're not. It's just going to be the exact same again. If we can't beat them the first time round, who's to say we'll do any better the second time?
Yeah, it's funny though. You've got a lot of negativity. Andy and Ewan, who I was speaking to last night, both were quick to remind me that Livingston haven't beaten us since 2004-05 season. I know we mentioned that on the last preview of the postponed game. So they were quick to be to reel that out and say we're fully expecting a 1-0 defeat. So it's quite interesting to hear a team, supporters of a team full of confidence, still not confident that they can beat an Aberdeen team that just don't look like scoring.
Yeah, it would be sort of typical of us for us to end that hoodoo now, and I think this is, well, as you could probably say, you could agree, this is the best chance they've had to do so. Obviously, they weren't even in the same division for quite a while, so it would be typical. And yeah, Martindale's got them firing, and they'll probably only be better off now that he's officially correctly in charge as well.
Yeah. So like I said, 9 unbeaten, 7 wins, 2 draws, both those draws against Celtic in the space of 4 days. So they are more than comfortable in handling one of the games against that was a slightly depleted side, but they've actually only lost one of their last 16.
It's all of these stats you're throwing up just don't make sort of positive. They don't make me think about positive viewing. And I think I mentioned it before, as Free and Macaulay said on Twitter, I think we should just play the one game and just make it worth 6 points and see what happens, rather than having to sit through the rest of it.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's certainly, if we were to lose, worst case scenario, to lose both these games, it puts Livy right on our coattails. I think it's 2 points behind us. And equally, if we win, it does create the distance, but this is a big run of fixtures coming up. It's Livingston doubleheader, and then I believe it's Hibs, St Mirren away, Hibs at home, sorry, St Mirren away, and then a doubleheader against Celtic.
I hate these double headers. I just never ever feel confident when there's like 2 games against the same team. I never feel like we're going to win them both. I think anything worse than 4 points will probably cause absolute meltdown in the Twitter sphere.
This is from the
Livingston, yeah, Livingston doubleheader. Anything worse than 4 points will probably cause absolute meltdown.
And I know, hindsight's a wonderful thing in that. We've got those games I've just, put forward to you there. What would kind of be your expected points tally from those games?
My expected points will be different to sort of my realistic prediction of points.
So that's out of 18 out of our next games, which is the doubleheader against Livingston, Hibs, St Mirren, and a doubleheader against Celtic.
I mean, 12 would be pretty decent going by but ambitious.
You've been drinking today.
It's ambitious. No, I know that's it. But the way things are going, it might be enough to drive me to drink. 12 would be I think 12, right. 12 should be what we're setting our sights on, 12 points. Okay. But realistically, 8 maybe might be what we get. What about you?
I don't really see us beating Celtic just now. They look like a team who've got a point to prove. We look like a team that don't. These next 2 games will tell us a lot. I kind of agree we need to be getting at least 4. We need to avoid defeat in both of these games, especially for the top 4 positions. Hibs, we always seem to get the better of. And St Mirren, proved to be stuffy for us this season. And obviously an impressive result last night against Dundee United 5-1. I'm going to say we'll get 9 points.
See, when I went with 8, I even think that's like ambitious. To be honest right now. And anything less than 8, we should probably be Jotter's time. Because St Mirren have just absolutely blown away Dundee United.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest concern for me as well, is if we're getting less than your 8 and 9 points here, there's going to be questions. Like you said, there's going to be a lot of trouble in the Twitter sphere. There'll be a lot of questions being asked about the manager's position as well, because, obviously depending on these outcomes, we're looking at worst case scenario here just now.
Not like us.
No, not at all. There's going to be a lot of pressure put on McInnes for these European spots, for finishing in them. And obviously, given the financial situation that Cormac's been alluding to recently, Europe's probably quite important for us this season, especially I think his 3rd place gets you guaranteed group football. I believe I read somewhere. I'm
not sure, but I think is 4th place now not this Euro Conference League. Yeah, so the money will be even worse for that. So,
but it's easier to get group stages or something. So. There was something about finishing 3rd guarantees you an easier route for group football, but we all know how good McInnes has been at achieving group stage football, so I'm not going to count the chickens yet.
Less said about that, the better.
Exactly. Back to Saturday's game, Scott Robinson, who's been in fine form for Livingston, managed to be rested for over an hour against Kilmarnock, so I'm sure he'll be absolutely buzzing to be pushing for a start again.
Yeah, that's good. Scott Robinson's a weird one because he played in the game that I was mascot in for Hearts in 2010. And he was in fine form. I specifically remember being in the changing room and they were speaking about who's going to mark him. I think he was number 44 at the time. It's just a weird memory I have. It's concerning. He's hit a hot run of form recently.
Yeah.
And looking very good. He's not the only one either.
No, he's not. And when it comes to, we'll look at the Aberdeen side and we'll certainly compare his goal scoring record to ours as a team. But Livingston, they pride themselves on set pieces, not only defending them, but going forward. We've seen that against Celtic, getting their set piece goal. Last night, John Guthrie hit the bar on a couple of occasions from balls into the box. He'll be a big threat. Would you get the Birkenhead Baresi tight on him? We know what he's like dealing with aerial threats.
Yeah, I think that's probably our best bet, in all honesty. Another one of the things, the team that they have a lot of set pieces, but when we defend them, there's always seems to be this weird instant
Panic.
like idea, and also they love to just grapple people. Constantine especially, it's concerning. It's concerning, especially for a team that likes to play for a set piece. It's pretty worrying, but yeah, I'd say Big Ash is probably our best bet to deal with it. I guess the Birkenhead Baresi.
Looking at our team, then obviously we're going to be playing on the AstroTurf. Tommy Hoban, big head knock, and a gash to what looked like his forehead. I don't know if there'll be concussion protocols he might need to follow, or if it's maybe a broken nose or whatever. We might see him masked up, which is very on point with the current climate we're in.
Yeah.
Would you be playing Tommy Hoban if fit?
If
I
not,
think
then
it's a no-brainer.
If not, then bring back David Grassi. But no, yeah, I think if fit, then yeah, definitely. And I believe someone saw on Twitter, I think they tuned into the St Johnstone commentary instead because they were fed up with the Aberdeen one, that they said Tommy Hoban was still in the stand. So I think if it was a concussion or something, he'd have maybe been rushed off. So hopefully that's a positive sign. I'm sure we'll find out probably during the weekend if he's in training and things like that. Fingers crossed, because otherwise, pretty bare bones again at the back.
Yeah, and we would also be taking a goal scorer out of the team as well. I saw Matt Cool point out that we've only scored 4 goals in our 5 calendar games this year. Tommy Hoban, Andrew Considine, so it's 2 defenders. Matty Kennedy was tapping against Rangers, and an own goal. So our strikers are contributing well so far this year.
Positive signs, and then if you look at Scott Robinson and his form, him alone probably doing better than that.
Exactly. Looking at that then, obviously we don't know the extent of Curtis Main's injury or even what it was. Do you make a change up top? Obviously we don't know if we're going to maybe miraculously pull a rabbit out of the hat and sign somebody between now and Saturday's game, but I have no real confidence in Sam Cosgrove, and I don't think he really has much confidence himself.
I agree with that, but I also have no confidence that McInnes is going to start Bruce Anderson. So it'll be Sam Cosgrove, I'm going to guess.
Yeah, it's really is concerning. Any other changes you'd make to the midfield?
Conor McLennan. I'd like to see him come in and start instead of number 25. That would be nice.
Well, I suppose all being well, number 25 shouldn't be here by Friday if we can just get him off our books totally.
I hope that's the case. And they say, we're strapped for cash. Boot him then. We'll take $100,000, maybe a couple $100,000 if we're lucky.
That's the development fee.
Exactly. Happy with that. And then recall Ethan Ross, get him parked on the bench, McLennan in from the start. Beautiful stuff. Yeah, jobs are good and we're going to win the league.
And the thing is as well, we can't even get, if we were to do like a kind of swap deal, which apparently is off the table, anyone that you're getting in from them isn't going to be match fit and ready to play anyway. Similarly, the speculation that was surrounding Ross Stewart, he's been hooked over Ollie Shaw because his intention is to leave. So John Hughes is thinking, well, I'm going to play people that want to be here. Imagine that, Derek.
I know.
And look at Alex Dyer.
Yep, that's what to say. That is the best example ever. He said it out in public. He was like, yeah, probably just going to use him in training. That's it. And then they booted him out on loan. So fair enough. And even Paul McMullen as well. He signed pre-contract with Dundee and now he's on loan there until the end of the season.
Exactly. Just look how other clubs handle it and don't just take the piss out of their own support. But there we go.
Yep.
One word ahead of the weekend then, Callum.
Arsed. You've used it before, but I'm going to use it. Just arsed. Genuinely. It's such a chore these days.
Yeah, and it's also going to be, for those of you that pay to watch the games, it'll be a £20 charge on top of the $17.50 that you might have forked out last night. So
yeah, exactly.
Stu McCombie actually pointed out that the Livy pay-per-view cost more than it would a match day ticket.
Possibly, but also the way they're doing it is they're not screwing over their fans for it, in terms of season tickets. Because I think the way we do it is the people who pay season ticket, and even if you bought every pay-per-view home game, they're still getting screwed out of probably like £100, I think someone maybe said.
Okay.
So it's annoying for us, but to be fair, it doesn't help the stereotype that Aberdonians are grippy, does it?
No, it doesn't at all. As the Livy boys like to point out with the postponed fixture, we're probably the angriest set of supporters about the £20 payment.
We've nothing to be happy about, let alone paying £20 to watch this nonsense. Just let us do it. Just let us shout into the abyss. And
to be honest, paying £20 to watch us just now really isn't very appealing. My one word is the educational word of the podcast: apathy.
There we go. Yeah, that's. I saw you say that, Lewis Payton, who then his other word was tenants, which, I mean, fair enough, I suppose.
Mm-hmm. And before we go, I know we'll probably be playing the out music, but we'll just give a shout out to Tom from New Zealand, who found the podcast and found some British heritage in amongst himself and decided to support Aberdeen. So thanks for tuning in, first of all, from the other side of the world. And I'm really sorry you chose Aberdeen, as that was your first game last night. And his one word was frustrating. It's taken him one game to know the feeling.
I appreciate the fact he's chosen us, but yeah, you're in for a ride, Tom. Strap in and hope for the best, basically. But that's all there is to say. Yeah. Other than, don't forget to hit the like button on the video, comment down below with any of your thoughts. Duncan Forbes, if you're tuning in, be sure to leave us. Let us know what you think. Hit subscribe.
Review.
Exactly. And hit subscribe and then follow us on any platforms if you're listening in as well. Thank you very much for tuning in.